is that Overtime $100,000 thing happening, and who's giving them the money for that? There's allegedly Overtime, which is a social media app, I think, for covering high school sports. I see a lot of great highlights on there. I get a chance to actually. I think my high school was featured on there this year, on the wrong side though. That kid.
Oh no.
That kid had that. He ran through 45 people. You remember?
Oh yeah.
On that
in the playoffs.
That one. Our team won that game, though. But the highlights will never tell that story, which is kind of a problem with this generation, man.
Yes.
I'm not talking about it. It's real, though. Like, Omar does a great job with SportsCenter, okay? But he'll put up some sick pass oop or something that happens, and like, yo, feeling it or whatever. That team loses by 40.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, this is all. I don't know. There's just, because it is an incredible play, all right? But do we care even that the team, that's the bigger question.
Got their ass beat, Hey.
Well, it's not also their fault that Omar posted either.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. Overtime, though, is allegedly launching a high school professional basketball league. Whoa. Where they're going to pay $100,000 to every single player, and then if you end up not making it into the NBA or whatever, you'll get $100,000 to go to college. So it seems like they're trying to battle both things. Like, hey, if you want to make it to the NBA, here you go, here's $100,000. I assume they're open. You're allowed to get your own sponsorships, I'd assume, on social media, and you're allowed to digital market, probably have your own YouTube, everything like that. So it feels like that is going to cuck the living shit out of NCAA college basketball, especially if they get, 5, 6 guys each year to go in there that are the guys. Mm-hmm. And maybe a shoe company will come in immediately after and say, hey, here's a deal worth $10 million. So then you're making $10,100,000 just from those two things there. I think that's going to become a lot more appealing for a lot of players. And in basketball, how many teams they have to have? 5, 6? You put the good one, all the great guys at the top of that thing, and then you just kind of have the team under there. It feels like that is a significant shift in power of the whole college basketball thing. I'll be excited to find out what Duke does or Calipari does or, Huggins or any of these college coaches do to stop that or the universities to stop that. I don't know how you're going to stop players from making that type of money with the freedom without having to fake go to class or anything. I don't know. That sounds like that's going to be a successful operation. And with social media, in the world being much smaller now, it's much more likely this type of thing. This has always been talked about. But with social media kind of bringing everybody together, whether it's messaging, DMs, numbers, hangouts, workouts, everything you see because of social media, I think it's much more likely it can happen. I mean, it'd be interesting to watch. And what would happen with football then? Then something would happen with football as well. It's potentially a pretty pivotal moment here in sports history, I think.
So I was reading into it. They're going to try to have 30 kids for the first season. They're all going to be in one city. They're going to provide teachers 16. And stuff like that. But Kevin Durant is part of the finance. Carmelo Anthony's part of the finance. David Stern before he passed away.
So probably 4 teams, right?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
7 or 8 on each.
Dudes are going to get tired.
Yeah.
Well, also,
they're going to be running that like Bleacher Report open run court?
Yeah.
Should be. But the G League's also offering, $500,000 contracts too. And a lot of kids have had success from this past year going straight to the G League and then entering the draft the year after. So
Overtime is going to be the brand building kids.
Okay.
And G League, probably the dudes.
Yeah. Because you get the NBA coach in there, too. I mean, I don't know.
And by the way, I've not done research. This is just coming off of the information you literally just told me right now. If G League, which is directly associated with the NBA, is paying more, I would assume that's going to be where the dudes go. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're a great basketball player with a good brand, but maybe not NBA guy, probably go to Overtime, right? Help build your own brand, and you get a $100,000 scholarship, basically.
There's a built-in safety net with that. So, all those kids who go to the G League and eventually don't make it, it's not like the G League's paying them a full college scholarship on the back end. Like all these kids, why wouldn't you do it if you're going to get paid? And then if you don't make it, it's like, okay, well, we'll still pay for you to go to college.
Yeah. Now, you could have these kids put away 30% of their $500,000 salary at the G League to pocket it to pay for school later.
That's a good point.
And I assume that the people that expect that grew up in, an accountant's house.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Silver spoon in their mouth.
I'd assume that's the case. but it would be a smart move.
Yeah.
There's
Yes, it would.
So, I mean, you couldn't told me that. Okay, I was on scholarship and got loans out to have a good time. You know what I mean?
Why not?
So, I mean, that's an interesting. That overtime thing is interesting to watch, especially with the G League potentially popping off. Calipari, Coach K, Hugs, all the OGs, Izzo kind of getting older. Maybe they go coach. Ooh. If you're overtime, are you trying to get the good coaches into your thing now?
Do you think it's location based? Since the kids are in high school, it'd have to be like they would all have to be from the same region, or do you think they'll actually go?
This
to
is after high school, right?
This is 16 to 18-year-olds.
Oh, this is in high school?
For the overtime, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought this was afterwards. That is awesome. So, oh, my God. Now that has a much larger.
They said they're going to have one host city, so.
Okay.
So you probably go like a camp. You probably just go
Yeah.
for like a month.
Your bubble.
I thought it was after. I didn't know they were doing this to high schoolers.
16 to 18-year-olds. That's why if
Oh, my God. Good for the high schoolers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can dunk and got a couple good highlights, got a good brand, play pretty good, go get $100,000. Oh, walking around those high school halls after getting paid $100,000 can tell me nothing. I'd assume
Yeah.
at this point those kids are already like that though. If their highlight makes it on, House of Highlights or overtime or anything like that, I assume that's a pretty big deal.
A lot of those kids in that overtime post, I mean, they already got like 500,000 to 1 million followers on, IG and Twitter. So it's like they're already massive names. Throw them a bone with $100,000. That's genius.
And by the way, I assume going to one of these institutions that is, very, very knowledgeable and very historic. I'm sure that those universities will be able, because these kids, if they play that, they're foregoing their NCAA rights. So if these kids aren't to make it or whatever, I'm sure the universities would be able to teach them how to make more money than they're already making on social media, right? Because that's what college is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You go to college to learn your profession.
Of course.
I'm assuming these kids that have 500 to 1 million followers have already made $100,000 for a couple of years. They've already been able to do branding deals. I'm sure fucking Duke University would know how to teach them how to make more money in their field than what they'd be able to experience just doing themselves, right?
4 years at Duke, you can probably quadruple. What
Oh,
they're
yeah,
already
with your
doing.
knowledge of social media.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They'll teach you everything.
The modern day gold rush, the internet.
Nothing says social media like an 80-year-old person telling you how to run it.
Oh, what about a 69-year-old?
Well, that might
That's
change
a little
it
different.
a little.
That's a little different. What do you got, Diggs?
This is from an article about the league. It says educational offerings will place a special emphasis on developing the life skills necessary to manage and sustain a successful pro sports career.
Genius.
Focused on financial literacy, media training, and social justice.
So much
advocacy.
better. I mean, just so much better than college already. Just that aspect is so much better than college.
Every kid's gonna want to do this.
Why wouldn't
yeah.
you? Only 30 kids, though.
True.
Not going to be easy. You're not just going to fall into this thing. You're going to have to work for it. But if I get a chance to have a child in little, Doobie McAfee,
Oh, yeah.
has got some handles in 7th and 8th grade.
Here we go, Dubes.
9th grade, I'm letting him know, like, hey, pal, you better go put up some fucking shots.
Yeah.
You got a chance to become a pro in like a year and a half.
100K out there waiting for
Okay, and
you.
you don't have to be that tall, cuz in this one, you're going to be able to move still. You do your thing here, Doobie, all right? So fucking don't come back inside until you figure out how to shoot from everywhere on the court. You can even get a little cot, sleep out there.
Yeah.
You got a year and a half. You're about to be a pro, Doobie. Get it together, pal. That's real, by the way. Those kids become professional athletes at the age of 16. That's a hell of a goal setter. That's a hell of a goal. Now, there's only 30 of them. That's going to be tough. But, Doobie, get your fucking ass out there and find that jump shot.